You trust airlines because they seem organized, professional, and fair. But a former flight attendant is finally breaking her silence, and what she reveals will change the way you fly forever. For years, she watched from the galley, she listened at the boarding door, she saw the numbers before you ever saw the price, and she knew things passengers were never supposed to know. Airlines built an entire system designed to look random, when really almost nothing about your ticket, your seat, or your delay is left to chance. Today, she is naming 15 secrets airlines hope you never discover. Secrets about pricing, seating, boarding, and the quiet ways your money disappears without you noticing. Stay until the end, because secret number 1 is the one every airline hopes stays hidden the longest. Before we start, hit follow on Fly Smart After 70 so you never miss the travel secrets that quietly protect your money and your comfort. Secret 15, your personal data is worth almost as much as your ticket price. Every time you search a route, click a fare, or hover over a seat map, an airline is quietly recording that behavior, building a profile of how badly you want that trip and how much you are willing to pay to get it. That data gets fed into pricing systems, loyalty programs, and marketing tools that decide what offers you see next and what offers you never see at all. A traveler who searches the same flight 5 times often looks desperate to an algorithm, and desperate travelers get shown higher prices, not lower ones. Meanwhile, your browsing habits, your device, your location, and even your past purchases are quietly packaged and sold to partners who want to sell you hotels, car rentals, and travel insurance. None of this is announced clearly. It is buried inside long privacy policies nobody reads, written in language designed to be skimmed past. Smart travelers protect themselves by clearing cookies, searching in private browser windows, and comparing prices across multiple devices before booking. It feels like a small trick, but it can quietly save real money. And once you understand how closely you are being watched, the next secret about expiring credits will make even more sense. Secret 14, airlines profit from expiring travel credits you forget to use. You cancel a flight, and instead of a refund, the airline offers a travel credit, and it feels generous, almost like a gift. But that credit often comes with a strict expiration date, buried terms, and rules that limit how and when it can be used. Airlines know that a percentage of passengers will simply forget, get busy, or lose track of the confirmation email, and when that credit expires unused, the airline keeps the entire value with no obligation to remind you again. Multiply that across millions of passengers, and expired credits become a quiet, steady stream of profit that never shows up on any advertised fee list. Some travelers stack up several small credits over the years, never realizing they were sitting on hundreds of dollars that simply vanished. Smart travelers write the expiration date directly into their calendar the moment a credit is issued, and they use it for anything, even a short trip, rather than losing it completely. A credit spent is money saved. A credit forgotten is money the airline never had to pay back. And that same quiet advantage shows up again in the next secret, where the people serving your coffee at 30,000 feet know more than they can legally say. Secret 13. Flight crews often know more than they are allowed to tell you. Flight attendants sit in briefings before every flight. They hear about mechanical delays, weather diversions, crew scheduling problems, and overbooking numbers long before passengers are told anything. But most crew members are trained to share only approved language. Calm, vague, and careful even when they privately know a flight will be delayed for hours or a connection will almost certainly be missed. This is not dishonesty, it is policy, because airlines want to control the exact moment and the exact wording that reaches the cabin, avoiding panic, avoiding lawsuits, and avoiding early complaints before a final decision is locked in. That means a passenger asking a direct question at the gate may get a polite, unclear answer, even from someone who already knows the real outcome. Experienced travelers learn to read small signals instead: extra fuel talk, changed gate assignments, delayed catering, or a captain who suddenly disappears from the cockpit doorway. None of these guarantee anything, but together they often hint at what is coming before it is officially announced. Smart travelers stay calm, stay polite, and quietly prepare a backup plan the moment those signals appear. And preparation matters even more with the next secret, because sometimes the entire aircraft under your ticket can change without much warning at all. Secret 12. Aircraft swaps can quietly downgrade your seat without warning. You spend extra money for a specific seat, extra legroom, a window near the front, maybe even a premium cabin upgrade, and you feel confident the moment you book it. Then, days or hours before departure, the airline swaps the aircraft for a different model, sometimes smaller, sometimes configured completely differently, and your carefully chosen seat simply stops existing. Airlines make these swaps for scheduling efficiency, maintenance needs, or route demand, and while some send a notification, many simply reassign passengers automatically, often to a lesser seat, without a clear apology or full refund of the difference paid. Passengers who never check their seat assignment again after booking are the ones most likely to be surprised at the gate, standing in a middle seat they never chose and never agreed to. Smart travelers check their seat assignment again 24 hours before departure, and again at check-in, comparing it to what they originally paid for. If a downgrade happened, calling the airline directly, calmly and clearly, can sometimes recover a partial refund or a better available seat. Silence almost always means the airline keeps your extra payment with nothing given back. And silence is exactly what airlines are counting on, with the next secret too, the one about how a cheap ticket can quietly become the most expensive trip you have ever taken. Secret 11. The cheapest ticket often becomes the most expensive trip. That bright green lowest price on the search page feels like a win the moment you see it, but airlines design that number to be incomplete on purpose. The base fare rarely includes a checked bag, a chosen seat, priority boarding, or flexibility to change plans, and each of those gets added back one click at a time until the final total looks nothing like the number that first caught your eye. Passengers who compare only the headline price often end up paying more than travelers who chose a slightly higher fare that already included everything they needed. Worse, the cheapest fares are usually the most restrictive, offering no changes, no refunds, and no flexibility if plans shift even slightly, which can turn one small life event into a completely lost payment. Smart travelers compare the full total cost, not the first number shown, adding bags, seats, and any expected changes before deciding which fare actually saves money. Sometimes, the fare that looked more expensive at first glance ends up being the smarter, cheaper choice overall. And understanding true cost matters even more with the next secret, because airlines are quietly counting on empty seats that were never supposed to exist in the first place. Secret 10. Airlines secretly oversell flights, expecting some passengers will not show up. Every day, airlines sell more tickets than there are physical seats on the plane, relying on historical data that predicts a certain percentage of passengers simply will not show up. Most of the time, this system works quietly in the background and nobody notices anything unusual. But when the math is wrong and everyone shows up as scheduled, someone has to be removed from that flight, and airlines have built an entire structured process to handle exactly that moment. Passengers who checked in late, who selected the cheapest fare class, or who have no loyalty status often become the first candidates asked to give up their seat, sometimes politely, sometimes under real-time pressure at the gate. Airlines are required to offer compensation for involuntary bumping. Yet many passengers accept a smaller voucher out of confusion, exhaustion, or simply not knowing their real rights in that moment. Smart travelers check in early, arrive at the gate on time, and if asked to volunteer, ask direct questions about cash compensation, rebooking options, and hotel coverage before agreeing to anything. Knowing the real value of your seat changes the entire negotiation, and knowing your own boarding position matters just as much in the next secret too. Because even your boarding group was never left to chance. Secret 9. Frequent flyer. Miles are harder to use than they want you to believe. Airlines love advertising their loyalty programs, showing glossy photos of first-class cabins and dream destinations booked entirely with points. What they advertise far less is how difficult it often becomes to actually redeem those miles for the flights and dates you actually want. Award seats are limited on purpose, often just a handful per flight, while the majority of seats remain available only for cash, especially during holidays, weekends, and popular travel seasons. Meanwhile, many programs quietly increase the number of miles required for the same flights over time, a practice sometimes called devaluation, meaning the miles you saved patiently for years buy noticeably less than they once did. Expiration policies add more pressure, causing some travelers to lose miles entirely simply because an account sat inactive too long. Smart travelers book award seats as early as possible, stay flexible with travel dates, and use miles regularly instead of hoarding them indefinitely, protecting their value before another devaluation quietly reduces it further. Understanding how limited award inventory really is changes the entire strategy behind collecting and spending miles. And limited inventory plays a role again in the next secret, where an entire ticket category was built specifically to push you towards spending more. Secret 8. Basic economy is built to push you into more expensive tickets. Basic economy fares are intentionally uncomfortable, and that discomfort is not an accident, it is a business strategy. No seat selection, no changes, boarding in the very last group, sometimes no carry-on bag beyond a small personal item, all stacked together to create a strong incentive to upgrade before you even reach the airport. Airlines know that many travelers will book basic economy for the low price shown, then quietly pay extra later to fix the very restrictions built into that fare in the first place. That extra spending often happens under pressure, at the airport, right before boarding, when prices for upgrades are highest and choices are most limited. The entire structure is designed to make regular economy look like a comfortable, reasonable, upgraded experience, even though it used to simply be the standard ticket everyone received. Smart travelers compare the full price of basic economy plus expected extra items against the price of a regular economy fare before booking anything, because sometimes the higher listed fare is actually the cheaper total cost overall. Knowing this pattern in advance removes the pressure entirely. And the next secret continues that same theme, showing how even your boarding group number was carefully engineered around your spending habits. Secret 7. Your boarding group is engineered to make you spend more. Your boarding group is not simply about loading the plane efficiently, it is also a quiet marketing tool built directly into your ticket. Passengers assigned to the very last boarding groups often watch overhead bin space disappear before they even reach their row, creating real anxiety about whether their carry-on bag will fit at all. That anxiety is exactly what pushes many travelers to pay for priority boarding on their very next flight, even if they never planned to spend that extra money before. Airlines track which passengers upgrade boarding position after a stressful experience, and that data quietly shapes future pricing and marketing offers sent directly to that traveler. Meanwhile, loyalty status, fare class, and extra purchases all combine to determine your exact position in line, meaning two passengers sitting beside each other may have paid very different amounts simply to board a few minutes earlier. Smart travelers pack light enough to guarantee bin space regardless of boarding group, reducing the pressure to pay extra out of stress rather than genuine need. Once travelers understand the psychology behind boarding order, the anxiety loses most of its power. And that same quiet manipulation of pricing continues in the next secret, where two passengers can pay wildly different amounts for the exact same flight. Secret 6. Airlines count on you never claiming delay compensation. When flights are delayed or canceled due to reasons within the airline control, many passengers are legally entitled to compensation, meal vouchers, hotel stays, or rebooking assistance. Yet airlines rarely advertise these rights clearly at the moment they matter most. Instead, passengers are often left standing at a crowded gate, tired and frustrated, with no clear signage explaining what they are actually owed. Airlines know that a large percentage of eligible passengers will simply go home, accept the inconvenience, and never file a formal compensation claim, especially if the process feels confusing or time-consuming. That quiet inaction saves airlines enormous amounts of money every single year, money that legally should have gone back to passengers who earned it through no fault of their own. Smart travelers keep every boarding pass, every receipt, and every delay notification, then research compensation rules for their specific airline and route as soon as a serious delay happens. Filing a claim often takes only a short amount of time, yet many travelers never attempt it simply because they were never told it was even possible. Knowing your rights before you travel removes that confusion completely, and understanding hidden value continues directly into the next secret, where identical flights can carry wildly different prices depending on a fare class most passengers never notice. Secret 5. Gate upgrade offers are calculated, not random acts of luck. That surprise upgrade offer at the gate, the one that feels like a lucky personal moment, is almost never random at all. Airline systems calculate exactly which passengers are most likely to accept a paid upgrade based on past purchase history, loyalty status, ticket price already paid, and even how close the flight is to full capacity. Passengers who have accepted upgrades before are shown offers more frequently, while passengers who consistently decline are shown fewer offers over time, all quietly adjusted by pricing algorithms working behind the counter. The timing also matters because gate agents are trained to present upgrade offers when premium seats remain unsold close to departure, turning otherwise empty seats into last-minute revenue rather than wasted space. That sense of urgency, limited seats, limited time, a friendly agent smiling directly at you, is carefully designed to encourage a fast decision before logical comparison shopping can happen. Smart travelers research typical upgrade pricing in advance, so they instantly recognize whether a gate offer is genuinely good or simply convenient for the airline that day. Knowing the real value beforehand removes the pressure of deciding in the moment. And understanding hidden value continues in the next secret, where two passengers sitting side by side can pay dramatically different prices for the exact same flight. Secret 4. Hidden fare classes mean two passengers can pay very different prices. Every economy cabin actually contains several hidden fare classes stacked on top of each other, even though every passenger appears to be sitting in the exact same seat with the exact same legroom. These fare classes control pricing, mileage earning, upgrade eligibility, and even how quickly a passenger is rebooked during a disruption. Yet, none of this is visible anywhere on the boarding pass. Most travelers glance at briefly. A passenger who booked early in a lower fare class might pay significantly less than a passenger who booked just days before departure in a higher class, even though both are sitting in identical seats, enjoying identical service. This hidden structure allows airlines to fill every seat at the highest price each individual traveler is willing to pay, rather than charging one simple, transparent price for everyone. Passengers rarely discover these differences unless a disruption happens, and suddenly, rebooking priority reveals who was actually paying more the entire time. Smart travelers book earlier whenever possible, since earlier fare classes are usually both cheaper and more flexible during last-minute changes. Understanding this invisible structure explains why complaining about price differences to a seatmate rarely leads anywhere useful. And hidden pricing structure connects directly into the next secret, where even checked bag fees were carefully designed for a very specific psychological reason. Secret 3. Checked bag fees were designed to make low fares look cheaper. Checked bag fees were not simply added as a random extra charge, they were introduced strategically to allow airlines to advertise a lower base fare on comparison search engines, where the lowest visible price almost always wins the first click. By separating the bag fee from the ticket price, an airline can appear cheaper than a competitor on the surface, even if the total final cost ends up being nearly identical once both bags and seats are added. This pricing strategy works because most travelers compare only the first number shown, rarely calculating the complete total before clicking book. Airlines earn billions of dollars annually just from separated bag fees, a revenue stream that barely existed decades ago before this pricing strategy became standard across the industry. Frequent travelers who fly the same routes often accept these fees as unavoidable, never questioning why the base fare dropped so dramatically the same year bag fees quietly appeared. Smart travelers calculate the full total cost, including bags, before comparing any two airlines, treating the headline price as only the starting point of a much larger equation. Once travelers understand this strategy, comparison shopping becomes far more accurate and far less misleading. And that same strategic thinking about visible pricing can continues directly into the next secret, where your own search history quietly shapes the price you are shown. Secret 2. Airlines quietly track your search history to influence ticket prices. Every airline website and booking app quietly monitors how often you search the same route, how long you hesitate before booking, and whether you return to the same flight multiple times across several days. Some pricing systems interpret repeated searches as strong intent to travel, occasionally raising the displayed price slightly to reflect that growing urgency, even though seat availability may not have changed at all. This is not always confirmed publicly by every airline, but enough independent testing over the years has shown price differences appearing simply based on search frequency, device type, and browsing history stored through cookies. Meanwhile, incognito browsing, clearing cookies regularly, or comparing prices across completely different devices sometimes reveals a noticeably different, occasionally lower price for the exact same flight and date. Smart travelers avoid repeatedly refreshing the same search on the same device, instead checking prices periodically using private browsing windows to reduce any potential tracking influence on the price shown. This single habit costs nothing, yet it removes one more quiet variable working against the traveler during the booking process. Understanding how closely your behavior is monitored changes how carefully you should search before committing to any ticket. And after learning 14 hidden strategies already, one final secret remains, the very foundation every other secret was quietly built upon from the beginning. Secret 1. Seat assignments are a profit center, not a passenger benefit. For decades, seat assignments felt like a simple courtesy, something airlines offered freely as part of basic service. Today, seat maps are one of the most carefully engineered profit tools in the entire airline industry, with extra legroom, front cabin positioning, and even ordinary aisle seats increasingly locked behind additional payment. Airlines discovered that comfort itself could be sold in small pieces, seat by seat, row by row, transforming something once included in every ticket into an entirely separate revenue stream worth billions of dollars every year across the industry. Passengers who decline to pay extra are often randomly assigned less desirable seats, sometimes separated from traveling companions, sometimes placed near high-traffic areas like galleys and lavatories, creating gentle pressure to pay next time simply to avoid discomfort again. This system works precisely because most passengers assume seat assignment is neutral and fair, never realizing how deliberately uncomfortable seats are used as a quiet incentive toward future spending. Smart travelers check in as early as allowed, research seat maps in advance, and understand exactly which seats are being reserved for paid upgrades before assuming nothing better remains available. Once you see the entire seat map as a business tool rather than a courtesy, every future booking decision becomes noticeably smarter and far less frustrating. If this opened your eyes to how much airlines quietly control behind the scenes, subscribe to Fly Smart After 70 and share this with someone who deserves to travel smarter, because knowing these 15 secrets is the difference between flying like a target and flying like someone who finally understands the whole game. And if you have caught an airline using one of these tricks yourself, drop your story in the comments below, because your experience might be exactly what helps the next traveler avoid the same costly mistake. And if you want to go even deeper, watch our next video on the hidden refund rules airlines hope you never learn.